Good night once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host with the most, Yori Araman Kemp here in Nassau, Bahamas. We're going to be joined by Kimberly Ramkalawan from Trinidad a little later on. She's having an issue with her computer, so give her a chance. You know, these pesky updates, these bloody updates, they just pop up out of nowhere and they just stop your whole flow, your whole workflow. So give her a minute. She'll be with us shortly. She'll let us know and she'll chime in, as always. And yeah. So I guess how you guys doing today? I hope you guys had a great day today. It's Friday, of course. Now the 31st of March. The month is over. So I hope you guys are doing okay, man. You made it through March, the third month of the year. You're going into the fourth month now. And it's moving. The year is moving along pretty quickly, man. I thought 2022 moved quickly, but no, 2023 is really marching on, man. We're the first quarter in. We're the first quarter in. So yeah, so what's happening in your neck of the woods, man? It's Friday night, of course, like how I said, and I hope you guys had a chance to, go out to your local pub, your local establishment, and really, wind down, calm yourself down and have a few cocktails, or some libations, and chill out for a minute, because you had a long week. It's been a good week. At least on our end, it's been a good week. So I hope you guys had a chance to go and relax yourselves, man. So that's what I hope you're doing with yourself this weekend. And so, what's been happening? Nothing much has been happening. You have a bunch of people yammering all over the place and all over the Caribbean, but it's been relatively quiet. Nothing's really happening that significant to any great extent. Oh, one thing is happening. In the British Virgin Islands, their elections are going to be on April 24th. Okay? That's going to be the British Virgin Islands elections. And if you go on Caribbean Magazine Plus, you'll read a story. You'll read Peter Wickham's comments on the British Virgin Islands elections coming up. He was speaking on another channel called Carib Update, and he was telling us how he's been polling in the British Virgin Islands and what he expects out of the British Virgin Islands elections. Apparently, gay marriage, homosexual marriage is the hot issue in the British Virgin Islands right now because there's a referendum that's being put to the people along with the election. And this is something that the Premier, Natalio Wheatley, he had promised to bring forward to the British Virgin Islanders this year. He promised it last year in December when there was a court challenge between a lesbian couple. I shouldn't say two lesbian couples, a lesbian couple who wanted to get married, who wanted to be recognized in the British Virgin Islands. And of course, with all Commonwealth Caribbean countries, they're insanely against homosexual marriage. But the thing is with the British Virgin Islands, don't forget now, they are still a British colony. So that means they still follow the dictate and the rules and the laws of the mother country, which is the United Kingdom and Britain. And so, of course, Britain, they recognize homosexual marriage and gay marriage. And so they are very liberal. But that has not translated into the Commonwealth Caribbean at all. We're very conservative over here. And gay marriage is like an anathema. Anathema. Yeah. It's almost like poison here, man. You have a politician promising homosexual marriage in the Caribbean. He's looking to be, ran out of town. He's looking to be executed, man. So we're going to see how that plays on the British Virgin Islands, how the gay and what Peter Wickham is saying, right, is that's playing a role in the election where people are also putting that next to British Virgin Islanders' sentiment on independence from Britain altogether. And so what they thought would have brought the British Virgin Islanders to heel on this gay marriage, gay rights issue is probably going to pull them away from Great Britain at the end of it all. So people are using the same-sex marriage as a tool, as a proxy, and I using Peter Wickham's words exactly, using it as a proxy to pry themselves away from British rule. And so it took gay marriage to do it, So if that's what it is, that's what it is. So you have to take that into consideration. Oh, my camera froze. Yeah, it happened. Don't worry. Hopefully it'll come back soon. But other than that, we're going to have a good night tonight, man. So with that, that's on the issue in the British Virgin Islands. Okay. And that's taking place there. The election, like I said, is going to be on April 24th. And so gotta be mindful of that. And then there's some other issues as well. There's a new op-ed person we have with Caribbean Magazine Plus now too. Kapil Bassoon. He's been up and down on the give me 1 second. We have to pause for a second, okay? Let me pause for just 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, I had to put up my Western Freedoms logo here till I get my camera sorted out. And so yeah. We have another guy who's an op-ed contributor to Caribbean Magazine Plus now, Kapil Bassoon from Trinidad and Tobago. And he's wondering why the PNM government, the People's National Movement, they're not really taking any civil litigation against themselves seriously. I wouldn't have Mr. Bassoon serious. Why would the city government investigate themselves? Well, I guess he's just being tongue in cheek anyway. So I take it that, I give him that. He's being tongue in cheek. But he's wondering why all these cases from the former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi wasn't taken seriously when he was taking all the other cases with regard to UNC members, United National Congress members, why he was taking those serious. And so, hey, something the government wouldn't investigate itself, they just wouldn't do it. And so, that's really where it is. Why would the government investigate themselves, man? And he lists the whole laundry list of cases, man, that Faris Al-Rawi had missed. I'll just read off a couple to you right here. He said, former Attorney General and now Minister for Rural Development and Local Government, Faris Al-Rawi, in a media release on the 29th of this month, 29th of March, responded to the Miami-Dade Circuit Court ruling in favor of the state of Trinidad and Tobago against Brian Q. Tung, Steve Ferguson, and Raul Gutierrez as a victory for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I had to look up that case. I didn't read that case. Apparently, Tung, Ferguson, and Gutierrez were found to be liable for multi-claims arising from fraud perpetrated in connection with the redevelopment of Piarco Airport in the early 2000s. Okay, and this Piarco Airport scandal goes back even to the former Prime Minister Basideo Panday, right? And so, which the Department of Public Prosecutions have now, they've dropped the case, they dropped charges against Basideo Panday. They say they don't find any likelihood of that being how would you say, any likelihood of that being a successful prosecution for the DPP in Trinidad and Tobago. But, the scandal is already being wrought, and it's still, hitting the UNC every other day. And, Basideo Panday is out of politics right now for all intents and purposes. He's an old man, and I don't think he's going to come back. And Kamala Prasad has her hand firmly on the UNC. And so, there's no threat from Basideo Panday now, so you could drop the charges. And I don't believe, like I said Wednesday night, I don't believe in all these charges against former politicians. I believe you should let them ride off into the sunset. And government is a real hard task. It's a real serious thing. You should give them some grace. Okay, governing is not an easy situation. There's going to be a lot of hard decisions that are going to be made, and you can't go and prosecute every member when you get power. Prosecute every member inside the former government, and then what happens when you lose government? Then all the other members are going to be prosecuted. There's going to be this back and forth. So let's stop all of that. But back to Kapil Bassoon's op-ed, right? He's saying that Al-Rawi, who was named Attorney General in 2015, discontinued the $1 billion civil action filed by Petrotrin in 2013 against his former president, Malcolm Jones, as a result of a failed gas and liquid project. Okay, I remember that vaguely. The case was filed after extensive forensic investigations were conducted on the advice of former PNM Attorney General Russell Martineau and Vincent Nelson, the KC. The Privy Council subsequently ruled that there may have been a basis to support claims that there was political interference in Al-Rawi's decision. Wow. Al-Rawi, who in 2018 decided not to pursue civil action against former ETEC chairman Ken Julian and 5 directors who lost their appeal at the Privy Council, which paved the way for a special purpose company to pursue a claim against them for a failed 2005 investment of US $5 million with a China-based company to develop ETEC's information technology business venture. I guess, you can make a case. There's not enough information in this op-ed to really base why would Ravi stop these charges. But I guess, it all would come down to whether or not the state had a good solid case to carry it through. That's really what it all boils down to. The case, if the state doesn't have a good case, a good enough case to carry a court case, carry the matter straight to completion or straight to court, they wouldn't bother with it. They wouldn't waste the court's time. They wouldn't waste their time. Just like they dropped the Basideo Panday's case in the Piarco Airport scandal, the DPP decided to drop Basideo Panday's case. And so they didn't find it, useful. And they had a low likelihood that it would have been, successfully prosecuted. And, you have to take them at their word, And we're having some bad internet issues here. I guess the devil's all on us tonight, right? Because my camera keeps on freezing up, man. But hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. I think you can because I'm still live streaming, right? And so, yeah. So those are the two things that are on Caribbean Magazine Plus today. And so, we could talk about a lot of different stuff too. There's also another story. I'm waiting on Kim to come back now. Kim to tap in when her computer finishes updating, I should say. When she gets in, we're going to talk about this issue now with tourism. There's some consultants saying that renewable energy may not be a good fit for hotels in the Caribbean. Wow, that's crushing news, because if anyone who needs to lead on renewable energy should be Caribbean countries, and we should integrate that into every sector of our economy. Okay, renewable energy should be the first and foremost thing that comes out of any Caribbean leader's mouth, and because we're the most at risk for being abused by climate-related issues. So anything we do with fossil fuels that leads to the depletion of our climate and the depletion of our ozone and the damaging of our atmosphere, we need to be the first and foremost. We need to be the pioneers in piloting any initiative that brings any alleviation with regard to renewable energy and cleaner fuels. We should be the first on that. And so, I found it kind of strange that, these tourism consultants, they're talking about renewable energy is too expensive for hotels. But like I said, we're going to wait till Kim comes in so I can have her thoughts on that, because that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And apparently there was a whole study done by it as well. So we're going to take that from there. And we'll see. But otherwise than that, we're just trying to make the best of it. Okay. But like I said, today was being a pretty solid day. I do my regular run-of-the-mill thing. I start off with my morning exercise. I get some get some devotions in. I go to work. I'm a pretty boring guy. It was only in the night times I become LimeVibe. I become LimeVibe, and I become alive. I work straight from about 4 o'clock in the morning, straight until about 1 o'clock the next morning. I don't sleep. I don't get off. Because if it isn't, I'm doing the show. I'm at work. I'm working out, or I'm studying. So, I'm pretty much a pretty busy person. Plus, I have a lot of other hobbies as well. I've taken up archery. That's been pretty relaxing to me as well. I only do it on Sundays, though. It is very relaxing. I didn't realize how much fun it would have been, but it takes a lot of concentration. But at the end of it, you feel the satisfaction that you've been able to hit the target, especially when you're in competition with somebody, right? So, but I'm just learning. I'm just a beginner. And it's been, I wonder why I didn't start before. I'm looking to get into a lot of different things as well. I want to try yoga. I see people with those stretches. I want to try yoga. Then they say that's a good place to meet hot women, hot chicks, right? But I'm actually going there to see what it's all about, to get closer to myself, to get closer to nature, and be in oneness with yoga. That'd be funny to see me in those stretch tights, those stretch yoga tights. I like to see myself in them too. Have a good chuckle at myself. You sissy. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So like I say, man, I had a good day today. I can't complain. I'm healthy. I'm happy. And I hope you guys are too. And wherever you guys are in this world right now, I hope you're having a good stiff drink right now, trying to forget this week's doldrums, right? Oh yeah. Another thing happened though. One thing that sucked this week is that I took a mechanic that was supposed to fix my car, and I took him to the Consumer Protection Commission. But they told me today that they don't see themselves bringing a case against the guy because these parts, sometimes car parts, they don't have any warranties, and especially if it's electrical parts, you can't really blame a mechanic for a bad faulty part, even though he did the work, right? And I believe I was ripped off by the guy, but I can't really, prove that anymore because the Consumer Protection Commission, they don't want to take the case any further. And I don't want to go to court for $300 US. That's a waste of time, man. So he won that one. If he needs to rip off $300, that's fine. He keep his $300, man. You keep it. All right. And I hope he'd be happy with that. But I know God's watching. And if he's innocent, God let him slide. But if he is guilty, he's going to lose triple that, because God's watching. He knows what he did, especially after I took it to another mechanic to get the same part fixed. Right? And the other mechanic said, hey, first of all, before the second mechanic fixed the part, fix the issue, right? He started the car with the same faulty part. So how did you start the car with the same faulty part? So what that guy did? He started my car the same way that second mechanic started my car and told me that the car was working. The car cut right back off again. He was just trying to rip me up, have me dragging up and down, back and forth to him, and using me, man. He was using me. And I know it. And I know it. You know, yeah, God isn't sleeping on that, you know. I know it. And you're gonna pay for that, man. That was wicked what you did. Because I was supposed to be back up and forth, up and down to him all the time, trying to tell me that it wasn't the pod, it wasn't my cam sensor, trying to tell me it was my battery that was dead. And knowing damn well my battery wasn't dead. So he had to charge my battery up in the car. So you're a liar, you're a damn liar, because the second mechanic came to my car and started my car up, right? Started my car up the second time after it cut off the second time. He started my car up easy, just like that, right? Because all he had to do was tap something on the cam sensor. You have the magnetizer, I believe, and he put the car in neutral and he started the car easy as just like that. So that's exactly what you did when I brought my car to you the second time. That's exactly what you did, you liar. And you know you lied. But the consumer protection commission guy, he didn't want to hear, because apparently, you know, the warranty on parts and, you know, carrying a mechanic to a successful case is a little tricky. But, you know, some, like I say, man, people know the truth. People know the truth, man. We'll know exactly what's happening. All right. And I hope he loses triple times. Like I say, God is watching, and everyone knows. But I wouldn't put him on blast. I wouldn't put his company on blast, because I don't want anyone to go to him at all for anything. Right. But he knows what he did. I was supposed to be back up and down to him over the last 6 months or so. And then he was just telling me, oh no, we got this other part fixed for you, and it's going to be an issue after an issue. And I had history with this same mechanic about 7 years ago, and I didn't trust him then anyway. And this is the big shop. I think we spoke about this before on another podcast. You know, this is supposed to be the big shop, the big mechanic shop, you know, and they don't want you to deal with the side mechanics. You know, they want you to go to the big shop so you can have some kind of satisfaction, you know. But I know I didn't trust him. I know I didn't trust that same big shop mechanic. I didn't trust him at all. You know, I had my other car to him several times, and every time it always came up with another issue, another issue, another issue. But that was the big shop, right? You know, just a damn thief. He's a thief. I wouldn't call his name, though. He's a thief. That's set aside, though. But otherwise than that, you know, there's a big boxing match here in the Bahamas tonight. Female fight, actually. As I think it's a WBA world title fight between, let me pull up the names of the ladies here. They're honoring one of our former champions, British Commonwealth champions, Ray Minus, tonight, as well as the same event. Let me show you who it is. It's Lindsay Garabat from Toronto, Canada, going up against Jamie the Miracle Mitchell from Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's supposed to be a world title fight, 10-round main event. The WBA World Female Boxing title. They don't say which weight class it is, though. This fly is pretty much insufficient, but, you know, it's going on tonight. It started at 8 o'clock, apparently. All right. And they have another co-main event. Simone Silva from Sao Paulo, Brazil, versus O'Shea Jones from Philadelphia, USA. They're honoring, like I said, Ray Minus Jr., the former British Commonwealth Bantamweight champion, and he's hails from the Bahamas. He has ALS now. So, yeah, so we got to support Ray Minus. He's my former coach as well, too. So let's be on the lookout for that. So I'm waiting for the results from that as well. They won't be streaming it, of course, because they want you to come there live and pay for the ticket, but that's fine. And that's cool, man. And I saw the ladies, they had their weigh-in sometime yesterday. Oh, there's Kim Patchen. And Kim, you ready for us now? Hey, Kimberly.
Are you seeing me? And are you
Yeah, I can
hearing?
see you. Yeah, you're clear. You're clear. I'm glad you're in, because I'm glad you're here. You can take it over for the time being. Tell us how you've been doing, man.
I heard you going on about Trinidad politics.
Oh yeah, Kapil Bassoon. He's a new op-ed contributor to a Carry Magazine Plus. Yeah.
Comment there. That's a lot of politics, and that's Trinidadian politics for you.
Mm.
A lot happening. I know the PNM is they're rejoicing a lot in their campaign, in their camp, because of that ruling in Miami with Steve Ferguson. I think that they announced today that they're going to appeal the U.S. court. They're going to the U.S. court appeal for that situation.
Okay.
It's long-standing, and yes, with regard to what happened with Malcolm Jones and World GTL, it's happened. It culminated with the state closure of Petrotrin. So there's a lot of politics. People do things for their own benefit, and obviously, as you said, you know, it's because of no one's going to look into that. Well, I think Malcolm Jones passed away, so he
Okay.
passed by over the matter. So that's probably one reason as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that set Capilla off, man. He went off on a bunch of other some other matters that Faris Alawi, former attorney general, didn't look into. Oh my goodness.
Politics
Yeah.
in Trinidad. It's never a dull day here in Trinidad when it comes to our politics.
Mm,
The PNM and the UNC, there's always something. There's always a back and forth between those two.
mm,
And I take it with a pinch of salt. Now, obviously, being part of the media, it's all part of your coverage. There's
mm.
always some back and forth to cover. You get the political analysts on board and hear what they've got to say, their takes on the whole matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything is done. We've got so many ministries, government ministries. Whatever's being done, whatever's being touted, they would say, "Oh, we did that better," and we started this, and la la la. And that's how it goes at every day here in Trinidad.
They come in.
We don't have a dull day when it comes to news, especially when it comes to politics. There's always something. And I know we would have discussed how active the opposition is when it comes to their political forums. So they
Yeah.
usually have to say too, you know. But yeah, I know you were talking about the British Virgin Islands having their elections as well. So that's
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Or April 24th.
Right. I mean, I would say that they're doing, if they were to push that, obviously it's for, the dollars and cents. I mean, it matters not about the politics, it matters not about the political points or anything like that. It matters about they getting tourists coming to their islands. And if that's going to assist them in boosting their product, why not? I guess.
Yeah.
I know they might be afraid of, we islanders, especially the Christian ones, they tend to be Sodom and Gomorrah. We're
Yeah,
encouraging the
yeah.
well, that's the argument there right now.
Mm,
But I know most of the islands are doing it. I tell them, if you want, you bring your minister and things like that and get it done.
yeah,
You can have some kind of clause in that way to allow it to happen.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
still very much conserved and reserved when it comes to things like that. I know
yeah.
a lot of people that have gone abroad and they've gotten their union legal
Mm,
to stay, and they come back with it
mm,
so that they can live how they would like to live and say they're committed to their partner in life.
mm.
So yeah, that's
But I'll
how
tell you something though. We had the gay ship that came to the Bahamas back in the early 2000s, and trust me, that set everybody here crazy. We weren't for that at all. Yeah, the I think Rosie O'Donnell even had a segment. She went in on the Bahamas because they call us homophobic and all kind of stuff, man. It was bad. The PR was bad, but it didn't stop tourism. Nobody cared.
no, I mean, I think tourists they understand that they're coming to countries like ours,
Hmm.
got a level of understanding that it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Colonial mentality in that sense. Part of being these countries of the Commonwealth is we've held on to colonial um, standards in the sense that they brought the Anglican religion, the Catholic religion, and that's part of the church. That was their part of colonizing us, right?
Yes, yes,
They
yes, yes, yeah.
dominated us with their religion.
Hmm.
Now they want us to throw it all away,
Hmm.
for the sake of open-mindedness.
And they gave it to us, right? That's the thing. They gave it to us.
Now things take time to change. I
Mm,
have most islanders, most of our region, we really do not care what you're doing with your life.
yeah.
I know that there are some that are going to come and want to force you to do certain things because they probably see you as Christian, but you have no right to come and do that. I mean, you
No.
live in peace and be in peace. That's all. Come to our country. Just be you. We're being ourselves. You meet us as is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's my thing. I have no problem with whatever you're doing.
Mm.
It's not my place to judge. We all are sinners in the sight of God. I'm
Some of
not
us
go-
bigger sinners than others. Some of us bigger sinners than others.
I mean, I think murder is the biggest sin of them all, right?
Mm.
And I know he has even forgiven murderers. So I'm not to judge, right?
Yeah. That's
I know
true.
we were talking about tourism, and they were talking about the whole renewable energy thing there.
Oh
So
yeah, I want to talk about that.
there is something there when it comes to attracting tourists. I have seen it in a lot of hotel magazines, a lot of magazines, op-eds and things like that, where they have discussed people who are so conscious of the environment that they're not going to visit certain hotel chains because they don't see them as being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
I think even Prime Minister Holness spoke about this last year at the Summit of the Americas.
Mhm.
He kind of spoke about there's this new class of tourism that they have to be mindful of when it comes to the industry, and
Yes.
lot of big players in the industry.
Yeah. And my thing is, I believe that moving forward for the Caribbean, there should be no heads of agreement signed with any hotel brand if it's not promising to deliver on clean, renewable energy. I believe that should be the standard moving forward. I believe the Caribbean could set that standard worldwide that no large-scale development of projects should move forward, should be signed unless there is at least 80% renewable energy in that mix right there. Should be. It has to.
I mean, when you look at what hotels contribute, when what's the percentage of greenhouse gases that hotels put forward towards the whole pie? It's just about 5 to 8% according to I think it's the World Travel Tourism Council. They said it's only 5 to 8% that is contributed by the hotel industry towards global greenhouse gases. And that includes, that's just not hotels, it's flights, it's the maritimes, the cruise ship industry.
The whole travel and tourism industry.
Exactly. So it's minimal. I mean, when it comes to the air conditioned units and heating and things like that, it's very much a minimal amount that they're contributing to the whole greenhouse gas issue.
Yeah.
I can understand when it comes to the cruise liners. The cruise liners, in our country, we've got the methanol ships. They've been trying to push for methanol gas among the cruise liners. These shipbuilders. We have a lot of shippers. They come to our country to get gas and LNG and things like that, and to supply methanol, and so even the ships that are transporting the methanol, they've signed some agreements. Proman here in Trinidad has signed agreements with Stena. I think they're based in Norway and in China.
Yeah, I know.
Building these ships that focused on being a little more greener, when it comes to their emissions on the waters.
Yeah.
I guess that will probably save, God forbid, a tanker or a ship were to, sink. It will not, probably pollute the ocean, with oil spill or something like that.
Yeah. Just remember the BP spill in the Gulf back in the early
that was not
2000s?
too long ago. That was
when George Bush. No, I think it was when Barack Obama first became president, right? Like 2008. Yeah, that was a huge situation. That no one could believe that much oil could spill out of the earth and for so long and uncontrollable.
Yeah,
that was a disaster.
It really does take a long time for the ocean to heal, the seabed.
Yes.
We had some oil spills, devastating oil spills back in 2013, 2014. We believe it was a malicious event. They cited the union was trying to do something. And the effect it had on the ecosystem along our southern coast. That's not too far from where I live. And to see, we had white sand beaches in San Fernando in South Trinidad, and for the entire stretch to be covered with oil. It affected the residents there, it affected the marine life, it affected fishes, because it's where it's in the Gulf of Paria, and it's where our fishermen they source their fishes, their livestock. And to see that much fish dead along the shorelines was really sad. I mean, and you're seeing the pelicans covered in oil.
Yes. Everyone sees those pictures. Yeah.
And I saw that they were trying to clean it up, but even long after you go to visit, you see it buried in the sand.
Yeah.
It does have a long-term impact. And then a lot of environmentalists here in Trinidad have said that the quality of fish from that part of the ocean, that we don't trust it that much. Because the
Really?
Gulf area is polluted. I mean, we already have the Point Lisas industrial estate with
Mm,
their effluent coming out into the ocean, and
mm,
much less, this being added, the oil spill
mhm.
that has affected the fish. It
Oh,
affects the amount of fish that we have, their breeding patterns and things like that.
mhm.
So all of that is impacted.
So didn't the Environmental Protection Agency declare some sort of disaster area or give a full clearance to that area in Pariah? They,
It was done for a certain period of time,
mm,
and there were warnings for probably not a year or two, but the fishermen, they still talk about it. And
and,
along that line in Otahiti, you see how the sand was changed.
mm,
It's not the same anymore.
mm,
But I mean, we're talking about going green in the tourism industry, and
yes.
you're pushing this agenda after the COVID fallout. I mean, how many 70 million jobs around the world was lost because of the pandemic in this industry alone?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you're going to push for this agenda. I mean, how much fossil fuels are hotels really using? It's not that much, it's very minimal.
Yeah, but still, I believe we still should lead the discussion in it, because how can we go to the G20 countries and talk about climate change and cleaner energy and cleaner fuels when we're not willing to commit to ourselves to be cleaner ourselves? I think
Yeah.
we should set the standard,
I mean,
set the tone. That if
yeah,
all the countries can do it, then you can do it as well. You can make a better effort yourself.
it's going to take a lot. What is it we would like to see? A little more dependence on solar energy, wind energy. We've got to supply the infrastructure.
Yes, well,
And
that's why Loreto Duffy Mayers, she's this consultant out of Barbados. She was the project manager for the Caribbean Energy Clean Energy Project in the Caribbean. Let me get the right name for you here. Her name was Loreto Duffy Mayers. She was on a panel hosted by the Caribbean Export Development Agency, by the EPA and the benefits, and it was a whole tourism related panel. And oh yeah, she was the project manager for the Caribbean Hotel Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Program, and she said that renewable energy in the Caribbean is extremely expensive. Her word, extremely expensive. So it's not viable for Caribbean hotels. And so from her studies, when she did her program, the Caribbean Hotel Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Program, she found that renewable energy was just too expensive for hotels. And so they opted not to, go with renewable energy, and they decided to keep fossil fuels, which I believe just a bit more work should have been done, Yeah, we should have made it fit. We should have made it fit. Because if no one said it was going to be easy, but at the same time as well, we have to make the effort. If it's not going to change, then who's going to change it? If we're not going to make the sacrifice, we can't go and talk to the G20 countries in earnest with any kind of moral high ground and say, hey, we've been able to do this with our small countries, with our limited, resources. We've been able to take the sacrifice on ourselves for a cleaner environment. What about you? You should do something a bit better than that. And like I say, every heads of agreement for any country, whether it's in Trinidad, the British Virgin Islands, Jamaica, the Bahamas, the Caymans, any hotel related project should have in the heads of agreements that this project should be at least 80% renewable energy. If it isn't, if you aren't bringing that to the table, and we don't want you here because we can't take it anymore, man. And that's what it should be.
one of the arguments she had put in in the article was that it's hard to come off grid when it
Yeah,
comes to their dependence on electricity.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
can understand that we really do not have the infrastructure for that so much. The supporting infrastructure that is, I hear Barbados talking a bit about it because they want, hotels that are now starting to build, that you've
Mhm.
got to include this much, when it comes to how you're going to support your energy. Barbados has had a long-standing participation in solar energy, so I can see them achieving that to an extent.
Mhm.
But the rest of us here in Trinidad, it has not been so. Heck, in my
Because
opinion,
you're dependent on Petrotrin, right?
yeah, we're dependent on oil and gas. Yeah, after we're buying our energy right now, natural gas, we're dependent on NGC.
Yeah.
Uh, our grid runs on natural gas here in Trinidad.
I can
And
imagine if you go to Guyana right now, they'll curse you. They say, "What? Like, get out of here! Get out of here with your renewable energy. We just now get oil. Now you want to tell us we got to go renewable energy?"
exactly. No, Ghana, they're getting their money no matter what, and they're buying carbon credits. So that's an interesting take. They're selling their carbon credits actually, because if you want to invest, you've got to pay this much, and that way they're kind of protecting the Amazon.
Yes.
I When it comes to ecotourism, I'm not seeing that much here in the region.
Mm.
I've seen it in some places in Jamaica. They
Okay.
have hotels that are focused on the whole biosphere and everything. They consider, okay, this is what we're promoting. Not everyone wants that. Some people just want to come to a resort, come to white sand and some, the clean ocean, and that's it.
Well, I'll
They
tell
want
you, in the Bahamas, there's several popping up here. There are several ecotourism projects popping up here. There was one signed about 3 weeks ago for the Exumas, and another one for about 25 million in Abaco. And they're popping up all over the place in the Bahamas. And people are coming here for these ecotourism projects, And on Andros, there's been an eco lodge there for years now. And another one called Kiama, it's been there for years now. And so the Bahamas is becoming that hub now for ecotourism. It's amazing how we were branded with that, We just were branded with ecotourism,
No, I mean, in Tobago, we've got some eco lodges. Blue Water is considered one in Speyside. That's my favorite place to go to because
You love your Tobago.
where they're located, very serene, and everything feels like Sunday every day. I tell everyone that.
Does Kerry have to watch out for you on Tobago, Kim? You keep talking about Tobago, man. I hope he doesn't have to watch out for you on Tobago.
I mean, when you consider the other big hotels, if you want to come in, I think you have to consider our environment in that sense. Water or flora and fauna, and it would at some points it would help you as well. Consider that when it comes, and I mean, I can understand long-standing hotels like the Hiltons that have been here for decades. For them to go and rechange their structure and infrastructure, everything, it's going to take millions. And you're asking these hotels to do this. What is it for them they're going to say,
Yeah. They don't want to retrofit their hotels. And I understand, and that's a big challenge. But I think moving forward, we should make a better effort with that, though. Like I say, all projects moving forward should be, renewable energy. And that's just my opinion, Kim. Hey, you're not going to steal that from me.
Yeah. But when I look at it, the hotels that have come and established their model like that are mostly foreign hotel lines.
Yes.
All hotels here have often gravitated toward the eco lodges, the more environment friendly hotels. They try to have that nature picturesque kind of serenity vibe going on when you want to enter, when you want to visit.
Okay.
It's big hotels like Sandals and those lines, Sandals, the Hiltons, the Holiday Inns. What are you going to tell them to do?
Yeah. Not much you can tell him. And what do you think about Adam Stewart anyway? He's been running his father's company brilliantly, hasn't he? He hasn't stepped up at all. I mean, there's been a death here or there, but he's really keeping the ship afloat. And maybe he's just as competent, even more competent than his late father, Butch Stewart. Do you think so?
I can't say. I know that after his father passed, I saw him involved he was quite vocal in the establishment of a hospitality institute, I think in Mona, in the Mona campus.
Yes.
In doing that, and I saw him trying to give back to the tourism product, and he spoke quite a bit about during the lockdown, Jamaica was promoting their resilient corridors. And part of that was, their dependence on local, eating local, buying local, and supplying the hotel industry with everything local. So instead of importing your bananas and your pineapples, you sourced it with farmers locally. Yes. Trying to talk a bit about that with Edmund Bartlett, the Minister of
Affairs in Jamaica. Yeah.
So he was
Edmund Bartlett.
He was talking about that, and perhaps he has to go. the flow of things today. So
Mhm.
he's gonna have to say the right things,
Yeah.
and he's gonna have to see that. And it's, I mean, rethinking how they do their business model. They've thrived off, cheap imports and things like that.
Mhm.
That's how they offer these big packages across the islands, whoever have, the countries that have allowed them to come in and set up.
Now, speaking of that, one thing in particular I've noticed with him, though, he isn't expanding the brand to any great extent. I mean, he has a lot of PR with the existing infrastructure was, but his father was aggressive. His father was talking about hotels in Tobago. His father was talking about hotels in the Caymans, all over the Caribbean, man. But he stopped. He isn't as aggressive as his father was. But he's certainly holding on. He's keeping in the public eye with every other thing now. You know, Sandals is involved in some kind of charitable act or some kind of charitable event. And I just hope he keeps the company alive. You know, I'm for Generation X's and millennials taking the reins of big companies like that. So kudos to Mr. Adam Stewart, man. And he doesn't seem as abrasive as his father was anyway either. You know, he seems to be pretty much level. He's not creating any controversy, I would say.
I guess. I mean, I think he's still probably trying to grasp how the companies run and take it into the new century. So
Yes.
it's gonna take a while. I'll give him a probably a 5 to 10 years again, and we'll see how he expands and takes the brand forward.
Yeah. I haven't met him though. I'd like to meet him. I hope he isn't a spoiled brat, but but then you wouldn't know until you meet him, because he was brought up with a silver spoon in his mouth, Kim. So I hope he's level-headed. Like I say, he's not as aggressive as his father was. He seems to be pretty level-headed. So he may be a calm person. Who knows? And he may surround himself with good counsel. May know when to shut his mouth and let the professionals do their work.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. That's a good sign I see from him. But enough of Mr. Adam Stewart. He's not sponsoring the show, and Sandals isn't sponsoring the show. And we would like them to sponsor the show, but until they sponsor the show, we wouldn't say anything else about Sandals. Okay. Nobody who was sponsoring the show, we're not talking about that. But did you see a bit of international news? Donald Trump has been indicted. Did you see that?
I know you were talking about politicians, and we were supposed to go in that direction.
Yeah.
And I thought the Secret Service that surrounds him, because he still has a level of protection because he's a former. They're refusing to detain him or move forward with any measures that the Manhattan court has ordered against him.
Wow.
So I saw that was the latest news I saw today, and it was interesting. They're saying they have to plan their move forward as to how they're going to approach this.
Yes, indeed, because I think my take is, Kim, and I could be wrong. I think that they know that the case would be weak against Donald Trump. They just want to make sure that he doesn't run for the next election.
I think so too, but this all has to do with the Stormy Daniels case, right?
Yes.
And I think that, I mean, that's minor compared to what was brought up with the January 6th uprising,
Yes.
Election that was held at Capitol Hill, and what he insinuated and instigated. And then I think they're having some issues they're calling for the former Vice President Mike Pence to talk up.
Mm-hmm.
He does not want to go take the stand and speak on that, I believe, because it was already said, and he believes, it's rehashing some bad memories, because he was ordered by Trump to go in the House and stand up against the elections.
Yes.
Null and void, they were illegal and la la la. And because he refused to do that in the House that day on January 6th, he sent in the troops. Yeah.
But let me ask you a question, Kim. Do you think that Donald Trump was just naive, that he didn't know that this was going to escalate to what it did? Or do you think he willingly, intentionally wanted to destroy the Capitol?
That I can't say. That I have never thought about. He's a narcissist. So yeah, I think he wanted to see the extent. And I don't think I don't know. I mean, you're talking about the redneck country here, Yuri.
Yeah, that's true.
And the redneck countries are the ones that are fighting for rights to bear arms.
yeah, that's true. But
when I think of that, and when you see that, I think of guns in Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., shooting up the place.
But like I say, do you think he intentionally went to do it, or that was just an act? He didn't realize how to the extent they would have taken that. Do you think that he was just naive to that extent, and just doing stupid things, didn't see the long-term strategy. Because I think that's what really Trump's problem was. He did not see what his actions were doing. Like all of his comments on Twitter, he didn't see how people were reacting to him saying some of these things. Like he was in his own bubble, only selfishly thinking about himself. And I see a parallel with a lot of Caribbean politicians as well, especially politicians in the Bahamas. They think that their back and forth is just between them, and they don't realize that the things they say and the things they say about each other and to each other, we react to that as well. Because some of us, well, God forbid, some of us still take them seriously for some strange reason. I don't know why. Right? And you've seen all the evidence. It's like that. Like that man who knows his wife is cheating, but because he hasn't seen it with his eyes, he can't really say that she's been cheating on him. But he holds in his heart that this is a good woman and he loves her so much. But at the same time, that she's bad for him, and he knows that she's bad for him. But he just can't stop himself. So I think that's what the situation is. Some of these guys, they don't realize that some of the things they do, that we react to it.
I can tell you, in Trinidad, they're very much mindful, and they know how it's going, how the masses are going to react.
Yes. And that's why I said earlier as well, all this back and forth, like how they're trying to get, former Prime Minister Basideo Pandey. I don't believe in all this back and forth, this retribution against former politicians,
No, they know they're inciting their crowd, they're inciting their followers.
Exactly. And
how they're going to feed off it, right?
Exactly.
It's very much intentional, at least I think in the Caribbean. And for Donald Trump, he probably did not know the extent by which they would have reacted on this period, but they sure did.
I think so. I think he didn't know what the hell was going to happen. He's just a dummy, because he's really selfish. He's really a selfish narcissist. He didn't realize that some of the things he was doing and some of the things he was saying were inciting these people to this extent. I really believe he didn't know any better. And that's not to say he should be innocent, but at the same time as well, that's just a danger we had for having Trump as the president.
Yeah, that was reckless.
Yes, very much so.
It was reckless. You endangered, the seat of their seat of Congress. Their seat.
Yes.
These people stormed into the House, and God knows what have happened. It was a coup, and
it was. But on the same token as well, though, Kim, I've seen some other footage came out about the January 6th insurrection. And they say it didn't really start off as much as people said that it would have started, because you remember this January 6th shaman guy, that he was like the poster child for the for the insurrection. Apparently, he was walking through the halls of Capitol Hill, and he was being escorted by police for a good part of that riot. And he wasn't making any kind of he wasn't doing anything that was untoward to those security officers. Actually, he was very helpful and peaceful to them. And so, but they made him out to be this, this caricature of the guy who would storm the Capitol. And that's what the media does, doesn't it, right? And so we were believing that this wild, woolly-haired guy, was just ransacking the parliament like a Viking, right? And we believe that.
He's a known actor.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And I know you saw the subtleties within the media coverage of that, right? Because you saw, exactly what they were doing. But the video came out that the guy was mostly peaceful, and so it just challenged the whole narrative around January 6th insurrection. So now you've added this other layer of conspiracy on it now. So that's not going to stop the people who actually stormed the parliament now from feeling any worse or any better, that that their actions weren't justified.
People were injured, Yuri, and that's the other thing,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Did one person die?
Yeah, one person died. A security officer died, actually. A Capitol Hill police officer died.
Right. So, I mean,
I protested them.
I think it could have been worse. I don't know. Had it not been for their law enforcement to curtail to an extent, and to me, the way it looked, when I look at the videos, it looked as though they were overpowered.
Yes.
Overpowered in this instant. I mean, when you look at the Black Lives Matter movements, right, and when it came to George Floyd, always see like the police seem to curtail these crowds, but in this instance, they seem like they weren't ready for an interaction.
Not for that amount of people, no.
Yeah, and when you look at the media and the coverage of it, I don't know, the angles that were taken. I was not there. It just looks, it's a lot.
Yeah, it looks like a savage attack. It looked like the Capitol Hill was being overrun, and which it was to a great extent, But I think the American government, they were afraid to bring in the military because they don't want the military on Capitol. I think there's a law against that too. You can't bring in the military on U.S. soil. I could be wrong. I have to look into that. But they didn't want to bring in the military because the police were definitely not equipped and trained for something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at it, if this all comes down to them trying to stop Trump from running for an election,
Mhm.
right? What's your next best bet? They're looking at Ron DeSantis from Florida.
Yes, our guy, Ron DeSantis. Yes.
Has the whole thing against Disney.
Yes, yes.
With Disney right now. And then they're putting a ban on a lot of things, like a lot of stories in history. They don't want To Kill a Mockingbird to even be read in their schools. That's big to me. And some people protested against telling a story this week, and they pulled it from their classrooms because they say it's offensive. But it's part of history, and to not history is for it to be repeated.
Yes.
And if your children aren't aware of it, how are they, going to stop things like this?
Yes. I agree. But yeah, you don't like DeSantis?
I mean, I don't know him. I just know him from what the media coverage is.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's savage, but DeSantis is cool beans to me.
Cool to you.
I'm still gonna get my DeSantis sticker and put it right in the back of me, right here. We support DeSantis in Florida for president. DeSantis for president. All depends on who his running mate is, though. Hopefully he gets someone who's a minority. And that would really make his ticket really interesting, I think.
Really?
Yeah. He'd be a lot better than Trump. DeSantis is really a rising star in the Republican Party, man. I believe he could bring the common sense back to Washington, D.C.
I mean, we all said that about Marco Rubio.
Yeah, Marco Rubio. Oh, little Marco. You could tell Marco wasn't built for that job, though, Kim. Honestly.
I mean, I always looked at him and I always see him as having a little more on his head than this, if I had to look at it, And I have relatives.
He has a home in the Bahamas,
Yeah. I mean, he had that support in even some of the blue states.
Yeah. Little Marco. He's a Cuban American. Yeah.
But this week, I mean, for you to I think they stopped telling the story of Ruby Bridges, who was the first Black child to desegregate an all-white elementary school in New Orleans.
Wow.
They stopped telling that story. They don't want it to be shown. I think a Disney movie was made about it some years ago, and they don't want that movie shown in their schools in Florida. One parent found it offensive, but it's history. What are you afraid of telling your past?
Exactly. And some of these white people, they're catching conscience. Their conscience are getting to them. They can't stand the fact that we are not so very far. We're not so far from the racial issues in the 60s. And actually, when you look at what's happening today, we're not very far at all. And they can't bear to look at themselves to see they're evil animals, man. And they hate. And they really have these qualities.
I would think that some of the people that are protesting against these stories from being told and read is that they're probably lineage. If you probably were to look into their lineage, fathers or something that was involved in this kind of discrimination, this level of discrimination in these states.
Yes. And it's scary, Kim. I don't know how they build up so much hate. I mean, how do you build up so much hate for another individual? I just don't understand. I just don't see it. Maybe it's just me. I grew up differently, but I don't see how they could build up that kind of hatred, man. And you see some of these videos, these people are absolutely bananas, man. They really and truly hate. Like, why you hate me? I've done you nothing. I have done nothing. It reminds me of a time I went to visit my girlfriend at the time in Alabama. I was coming through the airport, and these are tall, 6'3", 6'4" white border guards, right? And they all circle around me, and you could tell they were trying to agitate me, I was getting really, really scared. I didn't know what the hell was happening. And I couldn't tell them I was a foreigner. All they saw me was black, right? But you could tell they were ready to swarm on me because they pulled me on the side. They want to check my luggage and everything like that. I was getting really, really intimidated, man. Tell the black officer, he said, come this way. He did me just like, he said, come this way. And I zoomed to him, Kim. And we had this unspoken bond that we looked at each other because he knew what was going on. I knew what was going on. He said, but I just said to myself, thank you for saving me, because I was going to get held up, and God knows what was going to happen to me, because God knows what they do with some of these black people in the United States, God knows what happened, because we're just a face to them, we're not even a human being. So they would have done anything to me there, man. And I was really, really afraid, man. I was really scared, because these aren't some small white boys that you see on TV. These are these 6'3", 6'4" Alabama boys. They're tall, they're heavy, and they're muscular, man. And so I couldn't take on one of them, let alone four of them. So I can see why, George Floyd felt afraid, and some of these other black men who are getting shot and manhandled in the street, they're afraid.
I mean, when you see in the Caribbean, we have the whole issue with our US visa and things like that.
Yes.
They make it difficult for us to just get a visa.
Yes. Yeah.
When I think about it, I'm really just going to visit my relatives, right? I'm really just passing through. You come to my country anytime, right? And why is it you're doing me this? I am more afraid. There's more for me to be, scared of.
Yes.
To your country, because I could be driving down the road with my family, my relatives, going from New Jersey to Boston or wherever, and they may just want to pull over, see your brown skin, they call
yes,
you,
yes.
You're a terrorist. I'm brown, so they're gonna
Yes.
let you for being a terrorist and things like that.
Yes. You look him a terrorist. I could see with a turban on, no, a burqa on, right? And a hijab. I could see you with that. And then you pass for Obama. You look dangerous, Kim. But you're only a brown skinned person. You only like your skin color. You're not a human being. And so they don't care. They don't care, man.
They don't care. They don't see you as being human at all.
No. And actually, Kim, I believe that, especially over the last 4 years or so, I believe there was a pact inside the armed services, the uniform branches in the United States, that they were hunting some of these black men. That's my one theory. I believe that this was a game. I believe that this was like, let's kill a black man this week. I believe that's what the game was. Let's see if we get away with it. I think that's what it was, because there are a lot more black men in particular who were gunned down and killed by the police that were not making the news.
Exactly. I know about this. I
Yeah.
mean, every day it happens. I mean,
Exactly.
I've heard about it spoken on comedies and things like that. They've tried to make, light issue out of it in their comedy series. Different Will spoke about it, things like that. Those standing comedies, even the Cosby Show, and I think even Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there was an episode where Carlton and they were driving the Mercedes Benz, got pulled over and were held up in jail. These things have always been there, but I swear there was a influx of it after Barack Obama became president.
Yes.
Black man became president. He was, took over the White House, and probably the KKK saw it fit that, hey, we need
making a statement. Yeah, make a statement that Negro is in the White House, So we're going to teach him a lesson.
Martin was the first one that hit us hard.
Yes.
And he was walking home with a hoodie.
Yeah. But they say Zimmerman wasn't a white man, he was mixed. So they say that wasn't racially motivated, but that's BS. That's BS, right? Zimmerman followed that man, he profiled that man.
Yeah, he did.
And he killed that boy. He intentionally stalked that man, he killed that man. He killed Trayvon Martin. And he got away with it.
Yeah.
But I also believe too, Kim, that while it is a bit of a game by some of these police forces, I do believe that these things are setups as well. When I say setups, I believe that some of these guys are being executed open by the police. I believe there are some other background issues that the media is not covering, that you may know about these guys. And these guys are intentionally just executing these by, whether they for organized crime or some kind of sweetheart relationship or man, woman, or boyfriend, girlfriend to do. I believe there's some background information that the media is just not telling us. It has to be more than just a routine traffic stop. You pull out your gun and you empty out your clip in a black man. It has to be something more than that. I believe it's organized crime. I believe it's legitimate hits on some of these black men.
I can't say.
Yeah.
I mean, I want, what case hit me really hard? The Breonna Taylor case.
Oh yeah, they ran into the woman's house and shot her up.
that really hurt me. I mean, you're sleeping in the bed with your boyfriend and just come in and it's the wrong house. It was somebody's mistaken address or something like that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
His excuses were not bought.
And the other guy from Arkansas, right? The police came into the wrong house. She broke into the wrong house and shot the guy in his own house. He's from St. Lucian.
He was a St. Kitts.
St. Lucian. St. Lucian.
Sure.
Yeah, St. Lucia, yeah. They shot him up. And that's why I say, oh, she was in the wrong house.
No,
And she
he
got away with it too.
had a vendetta against her.
Yeah, of course she did. He probably saw her the night before and said, I don't want to see you anymore. I break up with you. I don't want you anymore, woman. So, Kim, we're out of time, man. I think we've got a minute over two, man. So any final thoughts? Where we get out of here? Any got planned tonight? I see you got dressed up tonight.
No, not really. I'm here at home. It's rainy tonight here in Trinidad. We're expecting rain tomorrow. It's chilly here. I'm staying inside. And got Easter weekend coming up next week, so all the activities will be ahead.
Yeah, Good Friday is a holiday, right?
Yeah, we've got Good Friday and Easter Monday.
Monday, right. I got you. Okay, Miss Kimmy, Miss Ram Kalawan. Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us. And I hope your computer's fully updated now.
So
and, yeah.
I need to take care of that soon.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, okay, that's fair enough, Kim. Kim, thank you so much, man. So thank you once again for joining us for another LimeVibe Live podcast. All about technical glitches and issues tonight. Please, if you haven't done so, go to our YouTube page and click like on our YouTube page, or subscribe to our YouTube page, I should say, and click like to this video. Okay, it really helps us out a lot. Also, you can go to our Facebook page, LimeVibe on Facebook, and you can click like to this video and click like on our Facebook page. Please do so. It helps us out a lot. So continue again and watching us and stay tuned to us. We'll be back again with another episode next week, Monday. So good night again from LimeVibe, and we look out for you again. This is Yori Cam saying goodbye.
Bye.